Here is the pattern I see in coaching conversations about AI. The coach hears resistance and assumes the client needs better information. So they share a study, suggest a pilot, point to what competitors are doing. The client listens, says thoughtful things, and changes nothing. The data was fine. The resistance has 5 layers and information reaches 1. That failure mode is structural, not a flaw in the coach. A coach who defaults to information is addressing the one layer of resistance that is often not the problem. The conversation can feel productive the whole time, and still, nothing moves. What I am giving you now is a diagnostic map. 5 layers. Each one blocks adoption through a different mechanism and needs a different response. Use it on yourself, not as a verdict on your client. Layer 1, the threat response. This is the layer where the conclusion arrives before the evaluation. Signals around identity, competence, status, belonging, and survival trigger a protective reaction that shuts down deliberate evaluation entirely. Your client's threat detection is doing the job it evolved to do, applied to a situation where it produces the wrong result. The client is not weighing AI. They are defending. And you cannot argue your way out of a defense because it is a state, not a position. Layer 2, the perception trap. This one catches the clients who get past the threat response and actually try AI. Kahneman's work on loss aversion tells us a loss feels about 2.25 times as painful as an equivalent gain feels good. Now layer that onto AI. Under conservative modeling, roughly 2/3 of early AI-assisted rounds produce no visible output. The early returns are invisible. So a winning strategy feels exactly like losing. The client quit something that was working because the experience told them otherwise. Layer 3, the dynamic game. Here the client applies a static cost-benefit calculation to a game whose parameters keep changing as it is played. Treating a moving game as a fixed decision is a framing error, solving the wrong problem with the right tools. Smart people do it all the time. And here is why layer 3 matters. It is the only layer where better data, sharper framing, and a well-posed question do real work. This is where your ROI case lands. The trouble is that most resistance does not live here. Layer 4, the structural trap. The math of AI adoption only works if your client can absorb the learning dip. Picture 2 professionals, same tools, same intentions. One has 2 weeks of slack to experiment. They capture most of AI's value. The other has 1 week. They capture almost none. Same person, same tools, different floor, completely different outcome. The constraint is structural, not personal. So the coaching question here is not, do you want to try this? It is what would need to be true for you to have room to try this. Layer 5, the culture tax. This layer amplifies or cancels every layer above it through one thing, the organization's tolerance for failure. Think of a firm that says all the right words. We invest in innovation. We encourage experimentation. And then that same firm penalizes any dip in deliverables and rewards consistency over learning. Every professional in that building reads the real signal. Do not experiment. The cost of a visible dip is certain. The reward for eventual mastery is not. The room to learn drops to near zero, whatever the value statement says. Pause here. As I walk through those 5 layers, one of them probably created recognition. A specific client came to mind, or a conversation that stalled in a way you could not account for, where the right information produced no movement at all. Which layer does it fit? Form a hypothesis. The layer you just landed on is where a more precise diagnosis starts. Good. Now the punchline. Rational argument reaches layer 3, and only layer 3. Layers 1 and 2 sit before reasoning has even begun. Layers 4 and 5 sit in conditions that make honest evaluation impossible until the flaw is addressed. Most client resistance does not live in layer 3. That is the single most important thing the map tells you, which problem you are actually coaching. You have the map now. 5 layers, 1 trap. The dividing line that matters is between pre-rational resistance, the conclusion arrived before the evaluation, and reasoned skepticism, where the client did the work. That distinction sets up everything in the next video.